Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Adidas Pro Model 2G Low. So this shoe is going for a very cheap price of 75 bucks. That's insane. The mid cut or high is going for 100 bucks, which is interesting. The material choice is a little different and there are a few things that are a little bit different, but for the most part it's just a low cut version of this shoe, right? So they're cutting off $25 just to cut this material off, which is kind of interesting. So if you guys do want to get it, I'll leave a link in the description box. This colorway is the only one available here in the US on the adidas.com site. So I mean, this colorway is kind of sick. It doesn't really say anything about the colorway, but I believe it has something to do with the Chinese New Year. So I'm guessing this is the Chinese New Year colorway. But let's get it started off with the tracciones. We have an assortment of herringbone and a few thick lines and a little bit of a texture on the thick lines. And it's pretty much the exact same outsole pattern as the Pro Model 2G. And the Pro Model 2G had incredible traction, very good bite, very consistent, also really good durability. So I'm guessing the 2G Low is going to perform pretty much the exact same as the regular 2G, unless they changed up the rubber compound, but I pretty much doubt that. Here in the middle of the outsole we have a torsion system, so it's just a piece of plastic and probably goes a little bit here into the forefoot and also here into the heel to give you more torsional support. As far as the heel to toe transition goes, it feels pretty smooth. Here in the heel we have a little bit of a curved shape, we have a good amount of heel compression and a curved shape here in the forefoot. So heel to toe transition here in the 2G was pretty smooth, so I have no doubt in my mind the 2G Low is going to be pretty damn smooth as well. And also look, we have a good amount of forefoot flex, which is kind of nice. It looks like a really stiff and kind of bulky shoe, you know, it has that old school look, but they kind of modernized the technology, and that's pretty much what they say on the website. They say it has old school looks but a modern performance. And as you guys know, the Pro Model 2G was one of my favorite Adidas shoes of last year, and they released a low, so I'm pretty excited about that. Alright, as far as the cushion goes, they're using a full length bounce midsole, as Adidas usually uses in their ball shoes for cheaper shoes, right? So bounce is really nice. The only downside to bounce, I guess, foam is that it is a high density foam, so meaning that it's usually heavier than I guess if you would compare it to Lunarlon or React, maybe even Boost. But Boost also isn't the lightest midsole compound. So a bounce, as you guys know, has a good amount of compression, has a nice little bounce, good impact protection. And here in the heel, it compresses a good amount. In the forefoot, it dies down a little bit, gets a little bit more stiff. The insole is pretty you know, it has like a paper stock Adidas insole. And then the strobe board, they use the Adidas stiff ass strobe board, so you don't really get crazy underfoot cushion. It broke in a little bit here in the 2G, so I'm sure it'll happen the same way here in the lows. And then there is a nice cool little graphic here on the insole. It says Adidas and we got some Chinese, so that's pretty cool. Alright, moving on to the material. So the material choice is the biggest difference between the low and I guess the regular Pro Model 2G. So in the regular Pro Model 2G, they're using a patent leather, right? And it's super thin. It gets creases. It creases very easily, which sucks, but it's really thin. The leather here on the low is actually quite thick, and it doesn't feel as good on foot right now. And I'm sure once you break it in, I mean, leather does take a while to break in, but once you break it in, I'm sure it'll get nice. But right now, it just feels a little bit stiffer, a little bit thicker, and a little bit bulkier than the regular Pro Model 2G. Here in the toe box, obviously we have this rubber shell, and it is quite soft, in the middle of the toe box, but once you get to the edge of the toe box, they're probably using a really thick plastic or rubber here because it stiffens up like crazy. And to be honest, that it really doesn't bother me. You know, it didn't bother me really at all here in the Pro Model 2G, and it gives you very good durability. If you're doing toe drags, you'll be fine. You basically have another outsole here on the toe box, and of course you're gonna be safe from people stepping on your feet, because you know, sometimes when you're playing in a very comfortable knit shoe like the Curry 8, people step on your feet and it hurts. But with a shoe like this, you're not really going to feel it. It's pretty much a steel-toed, or I guess a rubber-toed boot at this point, you know. So I don't really mind that here. For the Adidas logo, we have a little bit of that patent leather, and it's this really cool gold color, and same with this color here in the toe box. The color here in my regular Pro Model 2Gs, it has a really crappy green tint, kind of like fool's gold, you know, if you've ever seen fool's gold. So I don't like that as much. I like this gold sheen, this gold color a little bit better here in the low. And also we have some red touches, right? So here with the laces, we have rope laces actually, and we got some red laced into that black. In the regular Pro Model 2G, we just have like regular standard laces. So, I mean, I feel like that's a little bit better here in the lows. Also for the tongue, we have a mesh tongue with a nice leather material on top. It's very nicely padded as well. And then here in the ankle area, we have a good amount of padding. So in the regular Pro Model 2G, we have obviously this mid cut, right? This mid or high cut. And then here in the ankle, we can see this like neoprene material that kind of like goes over your Achilles. It feels nice, it stretches, it's not uncomfortable or anything. But it's pretty much the exact opposite here in the low, right? So they cut this off here in the low, but then they made this part here in the back of the heel very, very high. And shout out to Jay Lopez. He told me this shoe came out, so I was like, ooh, let me get it. But he told me that this was uncomfortable, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like that, because that was a huge problem for me in the Kawais, right? But right now, I've been walking around, and I've been like moving my ankle like this, and this doesn't really bother my Achilles, surprisingly. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's pretty soft actually, and this foam isn't like rigid or anything, you know? So it's not like sticking into my Achilles, and it's not really bothersome. So I like that. And also this heel tab makes the shoe a lot easier to put on. So overall materials, obviously quality wise, this leather is actually pretty nice, you know, especially for 75 bucks. And the quality that you get here in the low for the materials is way better than this like patent leather, or I guess like synthetic patent leather. But how it feels on foot, I like the regular Pro Model, you know what I'm saying? I believe most of the colorways that released for this was this material. You know, I don't think I've seen a leather material Pro Model 2G, but I guess here in the lows they're gonna make it a leather. You know, we'll have to see on like the next colorways that come out, because this is the only colorway available. But like I said, I'm sure it'll break in nicely and all that. All right, as far as the fit goes, it fits pretty much the exact same as the regular Pro Model 2G. So go true to your Adidas size. There is a little bit of toe space here right at the edge, but it's not terrible. I could deal with it. Width-wise, it was a normal width. And then once you come here into the middle of the toe box, it gets a little bit more snug. And the tongue feels nice because it has a good amount of padding and all that. So fit was actually pretty good. And as far as support and lockdown goes, okay, so for lockdown, you know, here in the heel, I didn't really have a whole lot of issues here in the 2G. It didn't have the best heel containment, but it wasn't bad, right? Here in the lows, like I said, the material is a little bit more rigid and also thicker, so it makes the shoe overall like more rigid, right? And when you're walking, or when I was walking, I felt a good amount of heel slippage. Hopefully that breaks in. You know, sometimes it's because the material is like kind of stiff at first, but you know, once I break it in, hopefully it gets a little bit better. But other than that, you know, obviously there's probably not going to be any issues with lateral containment. It doesn't really have an outrigger or anything, but it is a low wide base. I don't think there's going to be any issues with lateral stability. So there's that. And also, I don't really understand why they had to make a low version, because this mid cut or this high cut doesn't really restrict ankle movement at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like the KD12 and like the KD13, where it just feels kind of like a low. Like, you have the ankle mobility and that freedom, which feels nice, but you also, I guess, you feel the material over your ankle. So I guess if you don't like that, the low version is a little bit better. But I don't know, because they kind of sacrifice the heel slippage here in the low. So I don't know, we'll have to see if that is like a fair trade-off. Hopefully, like I said, it breaks in a little bit here in the lows. All right, as far as the weight goes, I think the lows actually gonna be a little bit heavier maybe, because the thicker materials, right? So 12.45 ounces, that's actually just around average weight. And then I think this might be a little bit lighter, 12.2 ounces. So it's a little bit lighter, not by much, but it is a little bit lighter. Also, obviously there is more material here, so that probably has to do with the thicker materials here for the leather. I mean, they pretty much feel exactly the same, but I feel like I like the Pro Model 2G, just the regular version, a little bit better because of the better heel containment right now. And like I keep saying, this material is just a little bit thinner, so that feels a little bit better on foot for me personally. So there's the weight there. As far as the aesthetics go, I think I like the low a little bit better. The low, this is a great looking shoe, and this colorway is just so sick. I love the gold toe. I love the gold logo here on the lateral and medial side, and I like the red accents on the shoe as well. I mean, there were some dope colorways of the Pro Model 2G as well, but I think I like the low cut a little bit better as far as the aesthetics go. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So yeah, the Pro Model 2G low, I'm probably not gonna do a performance review on it, because it's pretty much the exact exact same as the Pro Model 2G. Just wanted to do a little overview for you guys and do a little comparison as well to see which one is better, because it is a little different, right? Whether or not they keep this leather material for future colorways, we'll have to see on that. But as of right now, I feel like I like the mid, or I guess the regular version, a little bit better. But I mean, it's $25 more. Of course, $25 is a good amount of money. If that's an issue for you, the low is a great option. I just watch out for the thicker leather material, and I guess a little bit of heel slippage. So other than that, I mean, they're both pretty much the same. The traction, the cushion, the toe with this rubber and all that. So yeah, that about concludes my overview of the Adidas Pro Model 2G Low. Again, if you guys want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.